Hi, this is a recording of a webinar that was held on October 5th, 2016. The webinar begins with a slideshow explaining the basics on credit card processing for field service companies. Following the presentation, which runs a little over 20 minutes, there are some recorded questions and answers and conversation. If you have any questions, go to our website at www.myserviceforce.com, click on live chat, or you can email us at support@myserviceforce.com. Our goal today is to show you how to create a successful electronic payment processing program. To do that, you will need to understand the basics of the credit card processing industry so that you're able to assess companies and their value to you. Then, we will help you to define the qualities of a good payment processing plan. That will differ for everyone based upon a number of factors, but there are some common themes and components you will want to keep in mind. Once armed, we hope you will be able to select a partner or evaluate your current partner to create a great electronic payment processing plan. Of course, we'd like to have you consider us, so we hope you will indulge a short advertisement as we end. Let's get started. Technically, processing a payment electronically in a matter of seconds is pure wizardry, and we certainly do not have the time to climb into the technical details, but the parts and processes are basically the same for everyone. Let's review what happens when you, the merchant, process a customer's card to pay for your sale to them. Step 1. The merchant submits a purchase request to their partner, the merchant acquirer, in this case, Cayenne and myService. myService is responsible for electronically collecting the information and sending it safely with encryption to Cayenne. They transmit the information to one of several payment processors that are connected to the major card issuers, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, etc. They in turn are connected to your customer's bank that issued the card, and the next step is to seek authorization to charge the card. If the card is valid, has funds available, and the information we provide is an accurate match, the bank, in an instant, approves the transaction and releases the funds to you through the payment network. A short time later, usually one business day, your account receives the funds. That's it. Now, obviously, all of these parts need to be compensated to make this magic happen safely and at the speed of light. Let's look at that. Yes, you, the merchant, are going to pay something for this process. While the electronics is magic, the fees are not. There are basically two types of fees, variable and fixed. The card issuer and the bank's fees are negotiated with and fixed by the federal government. The variable fees will be based upon who you select as a partner. Those first. They will differ by company, can in many cases be negotiated, and are generally seen in these kinds of categories. A discount rate, shown as percent of your sale. It may include the bank's portion or be a bank plus a percentage fee, usually described as interchange plus a flat rate. Other fees include a per transaction fee, a monthly statement fee, and sometimes a PCI compliance fee, which is basically insurance against you not being a good steward of your customer information. The bank fees are of two types: the card company processing fees and the issuing bank's extras, together called interchange fees. Somebody has to pay for those specialty cards that are providing free airline miles and cash back. In part, it's you. There are over 700 interchange rates based upon business type, how the card is processed, what security information is provided, and the card issuer's extras. I think it's easiest to think of this as an exercise in risk management for the bank. The risks they're concerned about are the reliability of the card data presented and the likelihood the buyer will pay or not contest the sale. The costs are the added fees from specialty cards. So, an electronically processed, called card-in-hand transaction for a small amount of money on a debit card would be your absolute lowest cost item, probably around 1.5 to 2% in total costs. A purchase of a $10,000 sound system for the family room on a high-interest credit card with cash back would be on the other end of the spectrum and might cost 3.5 to 4%. Now, while I cannot tell you exactly where your company, customers, and their cards would fit, in general, a typical residential service company not selling systems will be in the lower rate categories. Using credit cards for systems and appliances might be higher, and we will discuss strategies to deal with both. But it should be clear that by knowing your business's risk to a bank and what cards you accept is a big part of the equation and part of creating a good payment processing plan. More on that in a bit. We will be talking about some of the gotchas that you will want to be aware of, but the most prevalent is the rate game and what the ads tell you and what they don't. I'm going to pick one of the newer competitors, Square. Let me say at the outset, nothing they are doing is wrong. It's just that what you see initially is just part of the story, and it's a case of buyer beware. Here's a typical ad. What they show you is a very competitive flat rate price of 2.75% and ask you to sign up now. Let's blow that up. Looks good, and you sign up. The bill comes, and you had some charges at a different rate. You look into it, and you see that for non-swipe cards, those times the card information was manually entered, the rate is actually significantly higher. Now, what they know, and you didn't, is that any given card may not swipe on occasion, something you've probably experienced personally. When that happens, you must manually enter the data. I guarantee they know how often that occurs and build that into their equations. But there's more. The extras. Turns out there's a whole bunch of other options you might like, and they cost more. So again, my point isn't that they are doing anything wrong, just that you have to be an educated consumer. One other thing before we move on. Chip readers. I don't want you to get stuck buying something you may not need. The concept was developed primarily for retail stores to provide greater protection against stolen cards. And if you do not use a chip reader and it turns out your purchase was made with a stolen card, you are liable and funds will be reversed. In the service business, where you are going to someone's home or business, the risk of that is very small. So evaluate it carefully. So what are the real risks to you? Basically, they're very simple and very easy to avoid with electronic swiping. As mentioned, the risks are basically you getting stuck with a stolen card or the opposite, the customer worried about someone stealing their card data. The best solution is electronic processing of the card, since the card is checked to be sure it's good and it's clear to your customer you are not storing their data. Truth is, with our service, even if you manually enter the data into the electronic processor, you still store no data. It's sent to be processed and deleted. Is it hard to get started? Well, step one is probably the most challenging, but hopefully, with a good understanding of the basics, you will select a high-quality, fully transparent, low-cost partner. One of the keys to selecting a partner is to carefully plan out what your needs are and develop your plan for payment processing. We will be reviewing that next. Before that, a word about getting a merchant ID and your devices and interfaces. The acquirer has a responsibility and the liability of making sure that a merchant is a real business and is viable. The worst thing that can happen to them is some thief gets a merchant ID and charges a bunch of phony cards and runs off with the cash. So how do they do that? Basic business information. And you can expect that the larger the account expectation, the more detail they may want. With myService CC, you start by filling out our online application. You can see it's pretty basic information. Armed with this and some even more basic information about the owner or principal officer, they can determine what they need to issue a merchant ID. Step 3 is important for 3 reasons: cost, security, and added value. There are all kinds of devices. Some, especially point of sale for retail stores, are quite expensive and may require a separate data or internet service. Others, like ours, use common mobile devices and PCs. You need to make sure whatever you selected is secure, that is, not storing data and encrypting any transaction data. Last, added value. Most software provided is simply swipe a card, put in an amount, and get a receipt. Some, like ours, provide additional added value features that could well offset the cost of part or even all of the program. Which leads us to the next section: the keys to creating a good payment processing plan. Let's start with the goals for a plan, and we'll start with the most dramatic first. That's the ultimate goal of, in the worst case, avoiding the disaster of a cash flow trap, and at the least, improving your current positive cash flow program. So why do we start here? Well, poor cash flow management is the single largest cause of bankruptcy for small businesses. And for service companies, it is a very easy trap to fall into. Here's why. Virtually every service call has 2 components: labor hours and parts. In a traditional program, your tech completes the work and returns the details to the office, where an invoice is created and mailed, followed by statements, collections calls, etc. Studies have shown that even in good programs, the average time for collection is 40 days, and at least 1% of all invoices turn out to be uncollectible. So what does that mean to you? Somehow, in a best-case scenario, you are financing 40 days worth of labor and parts for your customers. If nothing goes wrong, you can sustain this program even if it's costly. However, things do go wrong. A derailed economy, seasonality, a big job gone bad, and next thing you know, your cash flow tank is empty and your credit is shot. Well, you know, disaster. I'm sure we all know companies to which this has happened. So you need to make sure that you protect your companies from this nightmare. Here's the bottom line from Tim Berry, an author and renowned business plan expert, from an article entitled 10 Critical Cash Flow Rules. If you're the exception rather than the rule, hooray for you. That is, if all your customers pay you immediately when they buy from you and you don't buy things before you sell them, then relax. Be that company. The second goal should be to develop a plan that satisfies your customers' needs for flexibility and, of course, security. Let's face it, in the service business especially, many calls are unanticipated and unprepared for. But even if they are prepared for, who doesn't want to control their personal cash flow, just like you do? No one. So your plan needs to take that into consideration and provide an electronic, safe, secure option that meets your customers' needs for flexibility and control. Which brings us to our third goal, and that is to save money. While given the achievement of the first 2 goals, some would be willing to pay extra, a good plan should at worst not cost you more. We already reviewed the basic costs of a traditional plan, and we've detailed them in our white paper, Avoid the Cash Flow Trap, that was included in your registration confirmation email and also on our website, myserviceforce.com. We won't go into too much depth here, but according to independent studies, average costs per invoice are $25, and with average bad debt at 1%, another $100 per $10,000 in sales is out the window. Overall, the average collection program is 3.5% of sales, up to over 8%. This compares to a good electronic plan that should be between 2.5 and 3.5%. So what do we need in a plan to make it good? To succeed, the payment processing plan must have these core components. The first is the ability to accept payments in multiple ways, and most importantly, at the time the service work is done. This includes accepting payments from credit cards, debit cards, checks, and cash, and in the field and office. One thing that needs to be carefully considered is whether or not you will accept payment after the sale. Over 10 years ago, we had a traditional plan of billing and waiting for checks to come in. After realization that this was terribly costly and inconvenient to both us and our customers, we went 100% electronic. All of our customers pay with either a card or direct withdrawal from their bank account. This worked well for us, and I strongly suggest that you consider it. The next, especially for service companies, is the ability to collaborate on field invoicing. With today's technology and good field software, this is not at all difficult. It just requires a system and diligence. The third necessity, and I know this is repetitive, is secure processes in the field and the office. If for some reason you must have someone in the office process a card, call it in and do it over the phone. Do not write the card information and store it in your device. In the office, enter it into the processing terminal and let your partner store the information, not you. We believe these to be fairly straightforward. However, there is one other component that is a bit more situational, but should be touched on, and that is a management plan to address some of the implementation issues and ongoing good practices. There are variables between companies that make this part anywhere from very easy to seemingly impossible. Things like the status of your technicians, that is, are they employees, independent contractors, part-time, or full-time? And field devices. Do you provide them, or are the technicians required to have their own? If so, what type? And the list goes on. The good news is, for even the seemingly impossible, a good management plan will overcome. An example, one of our largest myService CC users has, for this situation, the worst case environment. Nearly 100 techs, multiple cities, some employees, many not, smartphones supplied by the technician without specification, and yet the program is working and achieving the major goals. Why? Because a good management plan was put in place that addressed the issues and required compliance. Of course, we are there to help, and that is one of the things to consider when selecting a partner. We're going to combine the last two agenda items, smart choices and rates aren't everything, because one of the smart choices is selecting a partner, and the first and kind of easiest differentiator is rates. But there are others, and the others could be more costly than 0.1% here or there in rates. When selecting a partner, remember to evaluate overall costs, not rates. That means deciding what your program requirements are, like quantity of swiped cards versus keyed-in cards at the office you'll accept, and other options they offer that you may want. Look at their management consoles and reports. Don't be fooled by volume. Look for what you need and usability. And don't forget customer service. You will need support for the financial side and the field and office processing sites. How are they equipped to handle your needs? The bottom line, rates are not everything, and the right choice of a partner can be the difference between a program's success and failure. Okay, advertisement time. To our knowledge, we're the only field service company to provide a full-featured payment processing plan. We do that by integrating our software with Cayenne's technology platform and our partnering together to provide a seamless management and support program. We provide multiple software choices for companies of every size and situation, all integrated to Cayenne and all work with standard devices and a low-cost pocket-sized dongle for swiping. And no customer credit card data is stored anywhere in your devices or office software. The importance of this arrangement is simple. It addresses the core component requirements of a good plan in a very direct and, mostly important, tailored way. Our program provides for simple point-and-click creation of detailed parts and labor lists for electronic management review, if needed, and also paperless provision of invoices and receipts with full details available to your customers and, of course, accounting. Additionally, the software makes payment in the field a three-step process. Insert the swiper, swipe the card, press send, all with standard devices and virtually no additional cost to a normal data plan. We make the implementation part of your management plan simple. The myService CC plan also provides the right levels of management and support at the right places from the right people. myService Force provides a very functional dashboard for easy use. It's simple to use, uncluttered, and sensible. We also provide the customer service for everything from the field to Cayenne. Cayenne handles what they do best. They provide a very high-level dashboard for detailed audits and problem resolution. And of course, they provide service on all financial transactions. Getting started with us is also simple. If you want to review details of myService CC or our software options, just go to the myService Force Business Center and click on Software Tools and start by selecting myService CC. If you'd like, you can request Cayenne contact you and provide a full fees comparison. Then, complete the basic business information to get your merchant ID. We need that to embed in the field software and Office dashboard. Last, download your chosen interface and, with a little training available 24/7 on YouTube or in our support center, you're ready to get started with a Class A payment processing solution. Thanks for your time today. In review, we started by trying to simplify the electronic payment process. We reviewed the roles of the merchant, that's you, the acquirer, that's us, the processors, and the card issuers and their banks. Each charges a small amount for their services, with the bulk of it being in regulated interchange fees for the card issuers and their banks. Those fees are largely dependent upon risk and add-on costs. Finally, we showed the need to do your homework to be sure you get the right partner with the right program for you. We then talked about implementing a plan for processing payments with the goals of securing your cash flow, satisfying customers' need for flexibility, and reducing your overall costs of collections. The core components of the plan need to have payment flexibility, field oversight of invoicing, and electronic security for you and your customers. Additionally, for some, attention should be paid to a management plan for implementation and compliance in the field. Last, we talked about making a smart choice for a partner that went beyond rates to include ease of use, management features, and support. And we ended with a high-level review of myService CC, the integration of myService Force field service software and Cayenne's top-rated processing program. With our free software options, there's something for everyone that will add value beyond field collections and make them extremely easy. We hope you found this valuable, and thank you for attending.
The very first question is, and I'm gonna announce your name. I can announce where you're from if you want to include that. You don't have to include your company name, but maybe just geographically where you're from. Looks like the first person asked, this is Craig Lambert. Don't have your location, Craig, but let's read your question. Craig says, I would like to see exactly what the card reader looks like. So that's fine. We can easily send you a photo of that. I could also maybe sort of go into that a little bit. So card readers come in a variety of different forms. We're currently supporting both iOS or Apple devices and Android devices. And literally any Android device. This could be tablets or smartphones. Doesn't matter. The card readers are something that you pretty much attach through the jack, the earphone jack, the headset jack, and swipe away. So Craig, if you, and it is private, so if you want to send your email address in through here, we'll send you a photo of what the reader looks like. I think you might also be able to find that on myserviceforce.com and go to Software Tools and myService CC.
And actually, Sean, I am going to go ahead and grab a link for that.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, Craig, I'll provide that in the answer here to you. I'll have that to you in just a couple minutes.
So next question. While we're waiting for a next question to pop up, I just want to say this is Sean Marzola again, Chief Operating Officer here at myService Force. So I've been doing this for over a decade, and one of the things I've learned in studying service companies is that cash flow is king. That's sort of master of the obvious as a statement, but it really is really, really important. So I would absolutely be very enthusiastic about trying to get your cash as soon as you can. We've done estimates, and you've seen the data here. Collecting cash probably costs about 5 to 7%, and using payment processing cost about, call it 65% of that cost. That's a deal, especially when you see what it does to your cash flow. Okay, we got another question. This is from Bob Miller of San Jose, California. Can I process cards from my office when the card is not present? So I don't mind taking that. Yes, the answer to that is yes, you can. We built our software so that you could log into our portal, input cards when you don't have them present, get approvals on the spot, and be able to collect your money right there. Both swiping in the field and your office collection of payments are grouped into your reports too. I think that's another great answer to that question, one that you probably would have asked next. You're going to want all that data in one spot, and it is all collected in one area. Let's see if there's another question here. Ray Schaefer of Dallas, Texas. What kind of rate plans does your company have? So anybody else want to chime in? I've been talking a lot.
Pleasure to be on the webinar with all of you guys today. Thanks for hosting this. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Sean, you have all the correct answers thus far. So you guys, we would be able to, you guys can process in the field and back in the office. And then I wanted to also add, this question wasn't asked, but it often comes up. We do have some extended pins to connect into the headphone jack reader for phones. I know a lot of you guys are using cases to protect the iPads when you're out in the field. We see that a lot. So there are ways to accommodate for that with extenders, and you can purchase them directly from the manufacturer. You can get them on Amazon, and so we can make some suggestions to you guys, to Sean, and get those included up on your site.
Great point, Maggie.
So, can you just repeat the question we had from Ray? I
Yeah.
can't actually see it up here on the
No
board.
worries. No worries. What kind of rate plans does your company have? I think part B to that probably is what makes the relationship with Cayenne unique.
Sure.
But let's do part A and then part B.
So we actually have a rate plan for pretty much every type of business that there is out there, and it really depends on what kind of cards you guys accept. So we realize that in the service, especially in the service industry, there are some that only service residential, and some that strictly service businesses. So with that, with a residential, you're gonna accept more reward cards for the most part, debit cards, and then when you're working B2B, you're going to be accepting corporate cards, which are they're a fraction higher to actually process. So we have plans based on the type of cards you guys are accepting, and we can determine what type of cards you're accepting by either doing a cost comparison and looking at an existing statement. And then if you're not processing at the moment, you can just tell us about your business and tell us about the type of clients. Our sales representatives that would be working your types of accounts have been in the industry for about 10 years approximately each. So they have a very great understanding of businesses, and they're very well trained and educated. So we put together plans that are customized for your business and the dollar amount that you guys are doing per month, and we customize it and make it work. And then if you guys have an existing statement, we're happy to take a deep dive into that and then see what we can do to either match those rates or actually come in below that.
Great. So part B to that question is probably what makes, these rate plans with Cayenne, myService's payment processing partner, unique or special. I'm going to go ahead and maybe expand on Maggie's answer. There's actually two rate plans that we put together. It falls into two groups, let's call it. One is called myService Preferred, and the other is called myService Rewards. So in reverse order, myService Rewards provides you with a rewards program where you can actually be enrolled in prizes and such, and that is a flat rate plan. It's a very simple plan, very competitive still, but flat rate. And then there's myService Preferred. That's your sort of, call it meter beat pricing from Cayenne. We would take your current plan, analyze it, see what your rates are, and we'd either meet it or potentially even beat it. So between these two buckets of rate plans, we seem to have something that will work for everybody. And it also depends, of course, on your volume, right? If you're doing minimal payment processing to begin with, a quick flat rate plan might just suit you well. If you have 25 technicians in the field and you're a little bit larger company, you might really require it to be more competitive. So great question there, Ray. Hopefully that answers everything. There's probably a part C to that, but let's see what this next question is. Jennifer Sobine of Reno, Nevada. Okay, Jennifer is asking, what kind of software comes with your payment processing? That's a super good question. So let's go ahead and answer it. That's actually probably also part of what makes our partnership with Cayenne unique because we have a piece of software for literally any size and shape service company that you'll find in the whole nation. Automatically, I would have anybody use a product we call myService Jobs to swipe credit cards and manage your business. If you're a small company, whether just starting out or 20 years as a small company, doesn't really matter. myService Jobs can manage your work orders, manage your customers, invoice your customers, provide even estimates. And that app is available on both Android and iOS or Apple products, and it is entirely for free. Entirely for free. You can then swipe in the field or input manual credit cards, debit cards, etc., into your myService Jobs application and get your payments collected right off the bat. In addition to that, we have two other pieces of more robust software, myService Apprentice and myService Pro, that are for companies that are a little bit further along or larger in size. And in large, actually, also myService Apprentice is, again, in large free. It does have quite a number of paid-for options. And then myService Pro is an award-winning, very robust field service software package that has been very successful in the field. Either way, your payment processing is totally integrated into your software. And in the event that you already have software, field service software that you're using, we would just provide you with the ability to either take cards in the field through one of Cayenne's pieces of swiping software, or you would input your payment processing into our portal. Either way. So it doesn't really matter what your needs are or what your requirements are. We've got a solution for it. And again, I think it's also something that we can expand on. If you want to take a look at our YouTube channel, you'll find just an enormous number of videos up there on all of our payment processing software as well as our field service software. And that should be a good answer to that question.
Hey, Sean, can I jump in for a sec?
Yeah, please.
Folks, this is Gary Rotting. I just, wanted to address one topic. One of the things that I think is really a dynamic that's very important today is having an electronic payment processing plan for your customers. We address it in the presentation, but I think more and more and more people, want to have the flexibility and of paying with either credit or debit cards, just for anywhere reasons from being paperless to the security and also the ability to control their cash flow. So I think, there was a time when that was maybe saw something that customers didn't want. In this day and age, more and more, it's probably all they want. So by not offering that as a solution, I think you're potentially really disservicing your customers. So again, you really should look at that part of it carefully too.
That's a great point, Garrett. Over the years, demands and customer preferences have absolutely changed.
Great. So yeah, I think, Sean, I don't see any more questions coming in. I think it's probably a good time to bring things to an end, and I really appreciate all you folks coming. It was a great turnout.
Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it.
This concludes the presentation. If you have any questions or would like some more information, again, go to our website, www.myserviceforce.com. Live chat is available right there on the website, or email us at support@myserviceforce.com. Thank you.